Hello friends, welcome to this channel. So in my previous class we have discussed about the basic concept about the respiration, breathing and exchange of gases. We have also discussed about the direct and indirect respiration and brief idea about aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So till the end of this video tutorial we will learn the detail of anaerobic respiration, that is fermentation, and the two types of fermentation, that is alcoholic fermentation and lactic acid fermentation. So we will also learn about the different types of respiration depending on the organ responsible for respiration. So let's start the tutorial. So before starting, let's go to the previous class, aerobic and anaerobic respiration. In between these two, we have studied that aerobic occurs in the presence of molecular oxygen but anaerobic in the absence, so it yields less energy due to incomplete oxidation of food. Here it yields more energy due to complete oxidation of food. So let's know what is alcoholic fermentation and what is lactic acid fermentation. We have discussed about direct respiration where no specific respiratory organ was involved for respiration. It occurs in primitive organisms. But in case of indirect respiration, specific respiratory organ is involved for the process. So it occurs, it is seen in case of higher organism, higher complex multicellular organisms. So let's start the fermentation. So as I have told you, fermentation is of two important types, the alcoholic fermentation and the lactic acid fermentation. The word fermentation is used for anaerobic respiration in case of microorganisms. So let's start alcoholic fermentation. Alcoholic fermentation. So what is alcoholic fermentation? This is the process in which alcohol is produced. So it is seen in case of yeast, fungi and bacteria. In case of yeast, fungi and bacteria. So these are the organisms who respire anaerobically and which is called the alcoholic fermentation. The carbohydrate and other organic materials break down into alcohol and releases carbon dioxide. We can represent it with a equation C6H12O6. It is the glucose in yeast and some bacteria. It is converted into 2CH3CH2OH. So 2CH3CH2OH is the ethanol. It is the ethanol. And this is the glucose. And in this process, carbon dioxide is released along with energy. So at the end we will get energy from the glucose and ethanol is produced. So it is alcoholic fermentation. Ethanol is produced, or it is the ethyl alcohol along with the carbon dioxide as the byproduct, but the main aim is to get energy by utilization of glucose. Clear? So this conversion takes place with the help of an enzyme which is zymase. So this is the process of alcoholic fermentation in which ethyl alcohol or ethanol is produced along with carbon dioxide and energy. So let's move now to the second type of fermentation, that is our lactic acid fermentation. So the lactic acid fermentation is seen in the muscle cells of human, as I have told you, and in some animals. So lactic acid fermentation. In the lactic acid fermentation, it is seen, the example can be some bacteria and the animal cells. Some animal cells like the muscle cells. As I have told you, during the vigorous exercise or fast running, our muscle starts to prepare energy itself anaerobically, as the supplied energy from our body is not sufficient for that work. So that muscle cell starts producing energy by a process which is called lactic acid fermentation, as a result of which the lactic acid produced is accumulated in the muscle cell and makes it stiff sometime. Okay, and it will give pain to the muscle. So the muscle cells can be example of lactic acid fermentation. It can be represented as, here also the glucose is used, C6H12O6, from which in the presence of it occurs in case of bacteria. The example of bacteria can be lactobacillus, or we can also write here muscle cells in case of skeletal muscles, or muscle cells also it occurs, and it is converted into the lactic acid. To CH3CHOHCOOH, which is the lactic acid, and along with the lactic acid we will also get energy from this process, like that of in alcoholic fermentation also we get energy. Here also we are getting energy from the glucose. This is the glucose. Now let's discuss about the two types of respiration, external and internal. So external respiration means it is more than breathing. Okay, breathing means just taking air to the lungs and giving out the air from the lungs to the atmosphere. But in case of external respiration, we will take the air to the lungs. There exchange of gases takes place between the alveolar air and blood. Then the blood carries the pure, blood becomes purified, means oxygenated, by getting pure or fresh air, and then it travels to the cell, each and every cell, through the heart. So this is the external respiration. And internal respiration contain the next part, means exchange of gases from the fresh blood or oxygenated blood, which is having fresh air, to the body cells or body tissue, and then it comes to the heart and next to again to the lungs. So let's discuss the external respiration. External respiration and internal respiration. Okay, external respiration and internal respiration. In external, I am giving you the ray diagram so that you can easily understand. Atmospheric air taken by our nostril, which travels through the nasal cavity, pharynx to the trachea, from the trachea to the lungs, and in the lungs to the air chamber, which we call the alveoli, the grapes like structure in the heart, in the lungs. We will study in detail about that with diagrams. Next, at the alveoli, the exchange of gases takes place. Means the exchange of gases takes place between what? Alveoli is now having what? Having oxygen rich air. Oxygen rich air. Now, the oxygen rich air from the alveoli, the oxygen and other necessary gases enters to the blood. The blood I am writing with black because now it is having more amount of carbon dioxide. After getting oxygen from the alveoli, it will get oxygen from the alveoli and the blood will give carbon dioxide in the exchange, because here diffusion occurs. Diffusion means the process by which any substance or gases travels from higher concentration to lower concentration. Here oxygen is of higher concentration, so oxygen travels to blood, and from blood carbon dioxide goes away. Then the blood become purified. The blood become pure, or we can say it is oxygenated blood. This oxygenated blood then move forward to reach. This oxygenated blood then moves. Okay, let me erase from here. Now the blood become oxygenated. After being oxygenated, after getting oxygen from the alveoli, it travels towards the blood, reaches the body cells or tissue. Body cells. In the body cell, the oxygen is already utilized and carbon dioxide is released in the process of breaking down of food. As I have told in the previous class, how glucose oxidized to produce energy and carbon dioxide. So that carbon dioxide is now in the body cell with higher concentration, and in blood or oxygenated blood we have oxygen in higher concentration. So oxygen from blood diffuses to body cell, and from the body cell the carbon dioxide diffuses to the blood. So now the blood again become deoxygenated. Blood become deoxygenated. Okay, and it will come out of the body to the atmosphere. Okay, and the body cell now got the requirement of oxygen. Now the concentration of oxygen in body cell rises, so that it is again utilized in the process of breaking down of food to get energy. So the part that is written in this side, mean atmospheric air gone to the this thing occur in the lungs. In our lungs, in the lungs the exchange of gases occurs, and again deoxygenated blood comes to the heart and reaches the it means the deoxygenated blood comes here. This is the deoxygenated blood, and then the deoxygenated blood gets oxygen again and it travels to the body cell. Now the alveoli gets carbon dioxide from the blood, so the alveoli after getting carbon dioxide from blood again through lungs through trachea, through nostril, through the nostril it comes out to the atmosphere. So this is the cyclic process. This is a very important thing to know. It is a cyclic process. Pure oxygen, pure air, fresh air enter to the alveoli. Their blood takes its oxygen, gives carbon dioxide, then it comes out, and after getting the oxygen it travels, the blood travels to the body cells. So this is the first part, and this part is your external respiration and this part is your internal respiration. So internal respiration means the air goes to, fresh air goes to blood and it travels to the body cell. So this exchange occurs, which is internal respiration, and this exchange is the external respiration. Here cells are not involved, here body cells, each and every cells are involved, so it is internal, here it is external. So they have link. Here food is not oxidized, here food is oxidized. This is important. In external, the food is not oxidized, but in internal, food gets oxidized and produces energy. Here energy is produced in internal respiration, but here no energy is produced. Okay, so now we will move forward to know the respiratory organs of different animals. As I have told you that there are two different types of respiration, direct and indirect. In case of indirect respiration, different respiratory organs are involved. So what are the different organs which causes respiration, which helps in respiration in different animals? Let's study in detail. So what are the different animals and what are their respiratory organ? Depending on the respiratory organ of different animals, the respiration is divided into four important types. So respiration is divided into how many? Four types. So what are the four different types of respiration? Let's understand now. So the first one and the most developed one is pulmonary respiration. It is the pulmonary respiration. Next one is the tracheal respiration. Third one is the bronchial respiration. And the fourth one is our cutaneous respiration. So these are the four different types of respiration: pulmonary, tracheal, bronchial and cutaneous. So in case of pulmonary respiration, we have some idea about this, because in case of human being the type of respiration is pulmonary. So here the organ who causes respiration, this is respiration is of four types depending on organ responsible. Which organ is responsible for respiration? Depending on that, the respiration is of four different types. In pulmonary respiration, the organ responsible for respiration is the lungs. In tracheal respiration, the organ responsible is the trachea. In bronchial respiration, the organ responsible is gills. In case of cutaneous respiration, the organ responsible is our skin. So, when skin is responsible for causing the exchange of gases or the respiration, it is called cutaneous. When gills are responsible, we know gills are present in case of fishes, so that is bronchial. The tracheal respiration, when trachea is responsible and when lungs is responsible, it is called pulmonary respiration. So finally we will go for pulmonary respiration because it is the most advanced type, and we will discuss in detail about it because we will discuss the different mechanism involved in respiration and exactly how the respiratory system in human works. So finally we will go for pulmonary respiration. So let's start from cutaneous. So let's start cutaneous respiration in detail. So cutaneous respiration occurs in which organisms and how skin helps in respiration. Cutaneous. In case of cutaneous respiration, skin or integument is responsible. Skin or integument means outer covering of the body is responsible for respiration. Cutaneous. Okay. The example are the most of the annelids like the earthworm, leech, etc. Most of the annelids are the example, and they are earthworm, leech, nereis, etc. So these are the organisms who perform their respiration, the exchange of gases, with the help of their skin or the integument. So how they perform? So the exchange of gases takes place through the skin. The carbon dioxide comes outside and oxygen goes in through the skin. That is why the skin is wet, thin, moist and wet. Okay, moist, wet means it is moist, thin. Another important is vascular. Vascular means plenty of blood vessels are present in the skin, so that the blood can directly get fresh air through the skin, through the wet thin vascular skin, and that fills the demand of the organism. So as the organisms, the annelids have a simple body structure, so they can respire through skin which is wet. And why it is thin? Because the exchange of gases can easily occur between the atmospheric air and the blood present in the blood vessels of the skin, as the blood vessels are plentifully seen on the surface of their skin. The skin is always moist by the secretion of mucus. So mucus is secreted continuously on the skin so that it is moist, and the mucus is secreted by the epidermal glands, So the epidermis is the layer or the skin, epidermal cells, and the epidermal glands are present which secretes the mucus. If the skin becomes dry, the respiration cannot occur and the organism may die. So in order to avoid the dryness of the skin, most of the annelids who respire through cutaneous respiration live in wet land. Likewise, the earthworm mostly found in wet areas or wet soil, which remains always wet, never dry. That is why probably the earthworm prefer to live in wet land. They prefer to live in wet land because the wet land will make the skin of the organism wet so that it can easily respire. Okay, hemoglobin is present in the blood plasma in dissolved condition in these organisms. Okay, next, leech. Let's learn some important thing about the leech. The leech secretes anticoagulant hirudin. So it secretes hirudin, which is anticoagulant. Anticoagulant means which will not allow the blood to coagulate. So we know that leech sucks blood from different animals, from human also. So leech, after sucking the blood, it will not coagulate in the body of the leech because of the secretion of hirudin, which is a anticoagulant, and it is secreted from the saliva present, and it is secreted from the saliva from the mouth region of the leech. Cutaneous respiration is also found in some fishes, amphibians during hibernation. It is also found in some fishes and amphibians. Fishes and amphibians also. Particularly in case during hibernation. Hibernation means living in a period of time without much metabolic activity. They reduce their metabolic activities to reduce the amount of energy required. That is hibernation. During unfavorable condition only they do so, and during favorable condition they will come out. It is the winter sleep. So in case of fishes and amphibians during hibernation, winter sleep, and estivation, which is the summer sleep. Hibernation and estivation, winter sleep and summer sleep. This one is winter sleep, this one is your summer sleep. Okay, during this time, as the metabolic activities become reduced, so much more energy is not required during this period, so that fishes and amphibians also prefer cutaneous respiration during this period, and during rest of the time they prefer their own type of respiration. Like the amphibians prefer to use their air sacs or pulmonary respiration. In fishes it is the branchial respiration, they use gills. During all other time, cutaneous respiration account for only 25% of the total respiration. So fishes and amphibians also do cutaneous respiration during other time away from hibernation and estivation, but it will account for only 25%. Other 75% is done by any other mode of respiration, but not cutaneous. But hibernation and estivation during these time, during winter sleep and summer sleep, they prefer cutaneous respiration by 100%. Okay, so this is all about the cutaneous respiration. Now we will move on. So cutaneous respiration, let's again recap it. So skin or integument is the organ that is responsible for cutaneous respiration, normally found in annelids like earthworm, leech, nares. It occurs in skin, so the skin remains wet, thin, vascular. In case of these organisms, mucus is secreted from the epidermal glands so that the skin remains wet. The nares and leech are also example of animals doing cutaneous respiration. Leech secretes hirudin, an anticoagulant, from its saliva, which helps to reduce coagulation of blood that is sucked from any animal. Okay, so most of the fishes and amphibians also do cutaneous respiration. during their hibernation and aestivation. During other time, 25% of their respiration is carried out by cutaneous respiration. So next, move on to another type of respiration, that is the bronchial respiration. So the bronchial respiration means the gills are responsible. Bronchial respiration. Here the gills are the respiratory organs. So gills are respiratory organs, so that we know the examples very well, the aquatic animals. So the examples will be the aquatic animals. Aquatic animals. Okay, so all the aquatic animals, aquatic means they live in water, so they do their respiration with the help of the gills. So there are two different types of gills. The gill can be divided into two types, the external gill and internal gill. When gill is present outside the body of the organism, it is external. When it is present inside the body, it is internal. So internal are complex and endodermal in origin. These are complex, endodermal in origin. Okay, internal gills are more complex. So these are the vital respiratory organ in feces. It is also found in gills and unio. So example can be feces, then prawns, unio, etc. So these are the organisms who use similar structure like the gills. Fishes use gills, and the gills of prawns and unio is a bit different from that of the fishes. Clear? So the gill of prawn, let's see what are the different types of gills in prawn. Gill of prawn. So the gill of prawn can be divided into three types or three parts: pedobranch, then the orthobranch and the pleurobranch. So pleuro, pedo and ortho. These are the three different types of gills present in case of prawn. So the gill of fishes. In case of gill of fishes, it is also divided into two types. One is found in case of bony fishes, and another type is present in case of cartilaginous fishes. Bony fishes and cartilaginous fishes. So these are different in both the type. 4 gill pouches are present in bony fishes, whereas in cartilaginous 4 pouches in bony, whereas 5 pouches 4 pouches in bony fishes, whereas 5 pouches in the cartilaginous fishes. So this is how the different types of gills are present in case of the fishes and prawns. So here, if this is the gill membrane, then from one side the water current comes, because the gill utilizes the dissolved oxygen present in the water current, and from another side the blood goes. So the blood supply comes in this, goes in this direction, whereas the water current inside the gill comes in opposite direction, and the water current has oxygen which gets dissolved into the blood, and the blood has carbon dioxide which is dissolved into the water current. So the water current gets carbon dioxide, gives oxygen, it will give oxygen and gets carbon dioxide, whereas in blood the blood gets oxygen and gives carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is given by the blood to the water current and oxygen is received from the water current. So that this is how it is a counter current mechanism. Counter current means one coming from this direction, another from this direction. So they have a counter current process by which the water comes from the left to right and the blood from right to left, so that both of them goes in different direction and exchange of the air or gases takes place between them. So this is how the exchange of gases takes place in case of the gill or the organisms having branchial respiration. So this is all about the cutaneous and branchial respiration. In my next class we will discuss in detail about the tracheal respiration, and we will go for the pulmonary respiration, and we will go in detail about the human respiratory system. So this is all for today. Go through this tutorial. If you have any doubts, you can comment below so that I can know your doubts and explain that in my next video tutorial. So this is all for today. Thank you very much.